Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shadashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shadashri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की भक्ति देवी की तुलसी महारानी की हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri 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 Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari 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 Bol. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20th, Verse 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayed Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Eka Shuddha Swayam Jyotir Nirguno Sogunashrayah Sarvago Navritah Sakshi Niratmatmatmanah Paraha Ekaha Shuddhaha Swayam Jyotir Nirguno Sogunashrayah Sarvago Navritah Sakshi Niratmatmatmanah Paraha Eka Shuddha Swayam Jyotir Nirguno Sogunashrayah Sarvago Navritah Sakshi Niratmatmatmanah Paraha Eka Shuddha Swayam Jyotir Nirguno Sogunashrayah Sarvagonavrita Sakshi Niratmatmatmana Paraha Ekashuddha Swayam Jyotir Nirguno Sauguna Sarvagonavrita Sakshi Niratmatmatmana Paraha. Ekaha, one. Shuddha, pure. Swayam, self. Jyotihi, effulgent. Nirgunaha, without material qualifications. Asau, that. Guna ashrayaha, the reservoir of good qualities. Sarvagaha, able to go everywhere. Anavritaha, without being covered by matter. Sakshi, witness. Niratma, without another self. Atma Atmanaha, to the body and mind. Paraha, transcendental. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. The individual soul is one, pure, non-material and self-effulgent. He is the reservoir of all good qualities and He is all-pervading. He is without material covering and He is the witness of all activities. He is completely distinguished from other living entities and He is transcendental to all embodied souls. Purport. In the previous verse, two significant words are used. Asansaktaha, meaning without attachment, and buddhaha, meaning fully cognizant of everything. By full cognizance, it is meant that one should know about his own constitutional position as well as the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in this verse, Lord Vishnu is describing himself, or the Paramatma. The Paramatma is always distinguished from the embodied soul as well as the material world. Therefore, he has been described as Para. That Para, or Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Eka, meaning one. The Lord is one, whereas the conditioned souls embodied within the material world exist in many varieties of form. There are demigods, human beings, animals, trees, birds, bees, and so forth. Thus, the living entities are not Eka but many, as confirmed in the Vedas. Nityo Nityanam Chetanash Chetananam. The living entities, who are many and who are entangled in this material world, are not pure. However, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pure and detached. Due to being covered by the material body, the living entities are not self-effulgent, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-effulgent. The living entities, being contaminated by the modes of material nature, are called Saguna, whereas Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Nirguna, not being under the influence of material modes. The living entities, being engaged in material qualities, are Gunashrita, whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Gunashraya. The conditioned soul's vision is covered by material contamination. Therefore, he cannot see the cause of his actions, and he cannot see his past lives. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, not being covered by a material body, is the witness of all the activities of the living entity. But both of them, the living entity and the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are Atma or Spirit. They are one in quality, yet they are different in so many ways. especially in regard to the 6 opulences the Supreme Personality of Godhead has in full. Full knowledge means that the Jivatma, the living entity, must know both his position and the Supreme's position. That is full knowledge. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishubhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatarine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Krishna Hare Krishna, everyone. So, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20th. Lord Vishnu descends in the sacrificial, Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Prithu. Indeed, I believe it is one of the longest descriptions in the entire Bhagavatam. So here we see that Lord Vishnu has descended into the sacrificial arena of Prithu Maharaj along with King Indra, the king of the heavenly planets. So to give you all a little bit of a background, Prithu Maharaj decided to perform 100 horse sacrifices, 100 Ashwamedha Yagya. Now why did he want to do that? There were a few reasons. Firstly, he wanted to establish his sovereignty over the entire world. That is his duty as a king. Second, he wanted to unify the earth under one dharmic rule. And third, and by far the most important reason, is that he wanted to please the demigods and satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, he performed 99 sacrifices very successfully, but as soon as he was about to perform the last sacrifice, someone in the celestial planets became insecure, and that was Indra. So Indra thought to himself, the qualification to annex my position is to perform 100 sacrifices successfully. This is also why Indra is known as a Shatkritu, the one who has performed 100 sacrifices. So he thought, what if Prithu Maharaj requests to replace me? So out of envy, what Indra decided is that he would steal the last horse which was going to be sacrificed. So before they could begin the sacrifice, he made himself invisible and he stole the horse and he departed towards the outer space. And he did that very intelligently. He quit his royal attire and he disguised himself as a sannyasi. He knotted his hair and he smeared ashes all over his body and was wearing saffron clothes. But as unfortunate as he was, Sage Atri noticed him taking the horse away, and immediately he commanded Prithu Maharaj's son to go and recover the horse. But as Prithu Maharaj's son was chasing Indra, he saw him in this disguise of a sannyasi, and he thought that this can't be the person who has stolen the horse. He looks like a very pious, self-realized person. So he came back, and Sage Atri, who had realized that this was a deceit, he again commanded Prithu Maharaj's son to go and recover the horse. And this time, Prithu Maharaj's son recovered the horse, and Indra, he fled in fear. So the personalities who were present in the sacrificial arena, they became so pleased with Prithu Maharaj's son that they named him Vijitashwa, which literally means the one who has won the horse. But again, Indra, out of his insecurity, he again created a dark environment, stormy weather, and he stole the horse again. And later in the story, we see that Prithu Maharaj's son, he recovers the horse once again. And when Prithu Maharaj learns about this deceit, he decides to kill Indra. But the sages tell him that only the animals are supposed to be sacrificed in this yagya. And therefore, we should invoke Indra by mantras and then offer him into the oblations. But as soon as they were about to do that, Lord Brahma intervened and he instructed them that you are performing this yagya for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for pleasing the demigods. And if you kill the king of the demigods, this yagya is not going to be successful. So Prithu Maharaj understood this instruction and the sacrifices stopped at 99. But becoming very pleased with Prithu Maharaj's deterministic attitude towards devotional service, he gave priority to devotional service and pleasing the Lord over winning some competition with Indra. And Lord Vishnu became so pleased that he descended into the sacrificial arena with Indra, and he was requesting Prithu Maharaj to forgive him. Then Lord Vishnu instructs Prithu Maharaj that people who are of advanced intelligence and concerned with the welfare of others, such as yourself, you should not have malicious intentions and definitely not be envious. Therefore, you should focus on performing your devotional service, because this sacrifice is not as important as performing your duties. Now, we have to understand that all the demigods, they are devotees of Krishna. But because they have numerous subtle material desires, and attached to those desires various insecurities, that gives rise to the feeling of envy, and it makes them perform sinful activities. Srila Prabhupada very beautifully highlights in the purport that it doesn't matter, all the way from a small honeybee to the most powerful and so-called pious demigods, everyone who's residing in the material world, they're under the spell of material energy. And they're nothing but puppets under the hands of the three modes of material nature. Now, in a way, if we try to understand this feeling of becoming illusioned, becoming bewildered, and having this sense of false ego and false ownership, this is actually a necessity. This is actually a requirement to thrive in this material world. In Srimad Bhagavatam 3.12.2, it is described, Sasar jagre andha tamisram atha tamisram adikrit maha moham cha tamash chagyana vrittayaha. Which means that in the beginning of the creation, Lord Brahma, who's the secondary creator, he created nascent conditions. Nascent conditions like andha tamisram. Andha tamisram is a sense of death, sense of self-deception. Then he created tamisram. Tamisram is anger upon frustration. Then he created mahamoham. Mahamoham is sense of false ownership. And after mahamoham, he created moham, which is which is the illusory bodily conception of life. So these are nothing but prerequisites. If you want to come into this material world, if you want to live here, then you have to get contaminated by all these qualities. The pure soul gets contaminated by all these qualities before it makes a transit from the spiritual world to the material world. Now, it can be understood in this way. Suppose we are traveling overseas, and if you are going to a country, sometimes for certain countries, you don't only need the visa, you also need to pack certain kinds of clothing, which is subject to perhaps extreme weather conditions, or sometimes even subject to the culture of the country. For example, if you're traveling to Russia, then you have to pack extremely warm clothes because the temperature is almost always in negative, and you cannot survive there if you don't have that kind of clothing. Similarly, if I correctly remember, in Arabic countries, people, especially women, they're not allowed to wear short clothes. They're supposed to cover their body, or perhaps clothes that show too much of skin. And over there, it doesn't matter whether you're a tourist. If you don't obey to the laws, they will send you back to where you came from. Similarly, when a pure soul decides to enjoy independent of Krishna, he's forced to wear the clothes of nescience and illusion so that his stay, his accommodation in the material world can be facilitated. And you need a visa. Of course, you're traveling to a different place, you need a visa. So they also allot you a visa. Would anyone like to take a guess what that visa is? Close? Like, where does the desire come from? Not exactly. The mind. So Lord Brahma, he's the visa officer, and he gives you the visa, which is your very own mind. And that visa ensures that you never leave this place where you're currently living. The Avanti Brahman in Canto 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 23, he very beautifully describes, Nayam janome sukha dukha hetur na devatatma graha karma kala manah param karanam amananti sansar chakram parivartayetyat. That I used to think that these people, Nayam janome sukha dukha hetur, these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress. Na devata, not the demigods. Na atma, not my own body. Na graha, not these celestial planets. Na karma, not my own activities and karmic reactions. Na kalaha, not the time. Maha param karanam amananti sansar chakram parivartayetyat. Rather, it is my mind alone that causes happiness and distress, and it perpetuates the rotation of material life. So, you get the visa approved by Lord Brahma, and as unfortunate as it can get, this visa has no expiry. There's only one way, however, this visa would ever get expired. So suppose you are stuck in a different country and you cannot come back home. But if the officials back home, they somehow realize that you're stuck, so what they'll do is they'll go to that country and they'll get you back. So the only way this visa would ever get expired is if some foreign officials from the country you came from go to the country you're living in and they take you back home by some exclusive law. Those foreign officials are your Guru and the Vaishnavas. So they come here, they descend from the spiritual world, and they take you back home, back to Godhead, using the exclusive law of Krishna consciousness. And once you have the favor of the Vaishnavas and of your Guru, then you automatically have the favor of Krishna. Krishna, in fact, what he does is he deprives you of material attachments. Once you get the recommendation letter from the Guru and the Vaishnavas, what he will do is now he will jump into the picture. And he begins his work by depriving you of material attachments. Because all these material attachments, they are the cause of all these nescient conditions, frustration, anger, sense of false ownership and envy. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Ami vigya ei murkhe vishay kene diba swa charanamrita diya vishay bhulaiba. Krishna says, my devotee, he's not intelligent, he's a fool, but I am intelligent. Ami vigya ei murkha vishay kene diba. How can I give him material attachments, which is the cause of all suffering? Rather, I will give him the nectar of my lotus feet. Swa charanamrita diya vishay bhulaiba, which will make him forget all material attachments and will finally deliver him. And then, once this happens, the soul cannot exist in this world. If we see somebody who has attained complete Krishna consciousness, somebody who has become 100% conscious of Krishna, all one will see them do is cry in separation from him. Because what they've done is they've now removed the coverings of nescience from their consciousness. They don't care what happens externally. All they're concerned about is when will they get darshan of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. It's like you must have seen in shopping complexes and malls, there are a lot of play areas where parents, what they do is they leave their kids over there for 1 or 2 hours so that while they are busy playing, they can get some shopping done. But after 1 or 2 hours, the kid, he starts looking here and there anxiously. And there's always this one kid, you'll see him crying over there. And if you ask him what has happened, he'll say, I want to go to my mom. I want to see my dad. Because now he's not interested in playing anymore. Earlier he did make friends. He was playing with other kids, he made friends. But now he has realized that this is not what I want. I want to go back to my mother. Similarly, when the Paramhansas, when the pure devotees, they exhibit these kinds of conditions, you will see them crying in separation. There's only one thing that they desire, is to go back home, back to Godhead. But unfortunately, we are very happy in this play area. We've been making relations, we've been making friends, families for millions of years now, and I'm not really sure if we really want to go back home, back to Godhead. That desperation ceases to exist in our minds. But we can definitely take inspiration by studying the characters of pure devotees. Like Sripad Madhvendra Puri, during his last days, he composed a very beautiful verse which depicts this very state, the state of a person who has come out of the clutches of nescience and who has become fully Krishna conscious. He says, Ai Deena Dayardra Natha He Mathura Natha Kadava Lokyase Hridayam Twadaloka Kataram Daita Brahmyati Kim Karomyaham. That, O merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Kadava Lokyase. Now this is the proof. He's using the word again, which means that we were there in spiritual world, serving Krishna, serving Srimati Radharani, but because of our own foolishness, we were perpetually cast into this material world. Kadava lokyase, hridayam twadaloka kataram. Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. Daita brahmyati kim karomyaham. That, O most beloved one, what shall I do now? This is the cognizance, this is the full knowledge that Srila Prabhupada was talking about in the purport. At the very last he mentions that when you have full cognizance and full knowledge, you can discriminate, you can understand your constitutional position and the constitutional position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is the constitutional position? The constitutional position is Jiver Swarup Hai Krishner Nityadas. The identity of the living entity is that it's the eternal servant of Krishna. And full cognizance and knowledge will only manifest when we have darshan of that Paramatma, that all-pervading soul who's seated in our heart and who's the witness of all activities. And in order to have darshan of Krishna, we'll have to call him very desperately. But the good news is we have the bona fide phone number. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And thereafter it won't matter what happens externally. Since now that we are situated in the self, we are situated with Krishna. And all the circumstances, whether good or bad, we accept them as providential arrangements. Providential arrangements made in place to strengthen our bhakti. And gradually the person becomes Jivan Mukta. He is still living in the material body, but he has attained the highest spiritual realization. The perfect example that comes to my mind is of Jad Bharat. Now, Jad Bharat, 2 lifetimes earlier, he was Maharaj Bharat. He was the king of a very prosperous nation. But at a very young age, he quit his family, he quit his kingdom, he quit everything to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. And he went by the banks of the Gandaki river and he began doing his sadhana. But in a desperate attempt to rescue the drowning newborn baby of a deer, he got attached to it. Now, nescience is very powerful. It can take over you even if you're engaged in devotional service. And the only way to cut nescience and to be steady in the devotional service is to have constant association, which unfortunately Bharat Maharaj did not have. So he became attached to the deer, and as a result, when he was dying, the only thing he could remember was the deer. And as a result, in his next lifetime, he took the body of a deer. Now, when he took the body of a deer, he could remember that he was a king in his previous lifetime, and internally he was very disappointed, very repentant. What have I done? So instead of hanging around with the herd of deers, he would hang around ashrams, he would hang around brahmanas. And consequently, in his third lifetime, he was born in a Brahmin family. Now, coincidentally, even then, he was named Bharat. But this time, Bharat was fully cognizant. He had full knowledge. He knew what had happened in the last two lifetimes, and he decided that even though I'm self-realized, even though I know what is my constitutional position and what is the constitutional position of my Lord, I will choose to act very dumb and stupid in front of the whole world. So there is a very funny instance. His father was a very popular Brahmin, and he decided that my son, I will teach him, I will educate him, I will teach him all the mantras, and he will accompany me, and then he will help me perform sacrifices. So what he would do is he would help him remember some mantra, but Bharat Maharaj, because he knew that if I showcase to him some quality, he's going to engage me in some or the other work. He did not even learn the word Om properly for entire 6 months. Every day his father would come home and ask him, can you recite the mantra? And he would say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know. So for 6 months this went on, and his father was puzzled. How can he be this stupid? How can he not remember one mantra? So gradually everyone told his father that maybe your child has extremely low IQ. Maybe he's like one of those people who are not that intelligent. So consequently they named him Jad Bharat. Jad means stupid, or who doesn't understand a lot of material affairs. Consequently, they tried to engage him in a lot of other activities. His brothers, they tried to get him a job to act as a scarecrow in the farms, and various other jobs to take care of hens and chickens. But he would deliberately ruin everything, so that people realize that he's of no use, and they would eventually abandon him. So when his father died, he just stood there. He didn't even perform the rites. He just stood there intentionally. So his family members, they became so enraged that they told him, you're of no use, and we are so unfortunate that you were born in this family. You please go away. We are abandoning you. And that was the happiest day of Jad Bharat's life. Because until now, he was not resisting anything. He was not even making any decisions on his own, because even that would cause bondage. If he had left the home by himself, that would cause another kind of bondage. So he was completely dependent on Krishna. He was completely prepared for any kind of circumstances that were coming his way. And in his mind, he was very clear that I am a liberated soul. I do not need to engage in these material affairs. So the story proceeds with Bharat Maharaj. He was lying in a field, and not very far from that field, a man sacrifice was going on for Mother Kali. Somehow or the other, the person who was going to be sacrificed, he escaped, and the people who were going to sacrifice him, they were running after him. Unfortunately, the person escaped, but Bharat Maharaj, they stumbled upon him. And they thought to himself, the guy who escaped, he was very lanky, he seemed very malnourished. And perhaps the Devi wouldn't be very happy if we had sacrificed him. But this guy, he looks very well fed. He's also very fat. Let's take him instead, and we'll sacrifice him. But Bharat Maharaj, as detached as he was, he did not resist. They were taking him, and he was thinking to himself, now what kind of mercy is Krishna going to bestow upon me? I'm so happy. Let's see what happens next. And before sacrificing any animal, it is a custom that you feed it quite well, so that you reap some benefits. So they fed Bharat Maharaj beautifully with varieties of foods. And Bharat Maharaj, he had tears of ecstasy in his eyes. He was thinking to himself, Krishna is so merciful. I've been away from home since so many days, and I've not eaten well. So he's so merciful, he's actually feeding me, Then he realized that they're going to sacrifice him, and again, he did not resist. He just simply closed his eyes, and once he opened his eyes, he saw blood everywhere. But then he checked his head, and he said it was pretty much intact, so couldn't be his blood. And he saw that Mother Kali, she actually came to life, and she decapitated all those miscreants who were going to sacrifice him. Then Bharat Maharaj went about his way, and he had a very interesting encounter with a king. The king's name was King Rahugan. And he used to attend a lot of spiritual discussions, but he would make sure that it gets advertised everywhere, that he's going to the satsang. And it was not that he was a pure devotee or anything. He just wanted everyone to know how pious he is, but he really wasn't. In fact, this King Rahugan, he was the same deer which Bharat Maharaj got attached to in that first lifetime. So when he was going to that satsang in his palanquin, they realized that one person is missing to hold the palanquin, and Rahugan told his servant that just go and grab anyone from the street. I don't want any kind of disturbance. So Bharat Maharaj, he was walking along that path, and he was walking very unevenly. He would not walk straight because he wanted to avoid killing mistakenly any kind of insect or any kind of ant. Because he realized that this lifetime I have to ensure that I achieve my goal. Because if this ant gets killed, then that would become the cause of my bondage. So the servant grabbed Bharat Maharaj, and Bharat Maharaj, as usual, he did not resist. He was holding the palanquin and they were walking, but he saw a lot of ants on the ground, and he would walk very unevenly. And when he walked unevenly, that was causing a lot of problem to Rahugan, who was sitting inside. He would bang his head sometimes against the inner coverings, and at one point he became so frustrated that he asked them to stop. He came out and he told them, and he told Bharat Maharaj, he chastised him, that you can't even hold a palanquin properly. What is the use of you being so fat? You're so lazy. And for a couple of minutes he kept on body shaming him. And Bharat Maharaj, until now, he never resisted anything. Until now, he was always quiet. He never tried to retaliate. But this time, out of his compassion, realizing the ignorance of Rahugan, he told him that you're making fun of my body. You're making fun of this very thick layer of fat. But you have to realize this is not me. I am a spirit soul, and so are you. And all these affairs, all these matters which are related to the body, they should not affect us. So you can keep making fun of me, but it's not going to affect me because this is not my real identity. And Rahugan, after listening to Bharat Maharaj, to Jad Bharat, he realized that he was a self-realized soul. Now, this example shows us that once the coverings of ignorance, once the coverings of nescience are removed from the body, removed from the consciousness, it doesn't matter whether the person is within the material world or is in some other world. They will behave according to their real identity. And so did Bharat Maharaj. Similarly, we see the example of Shukdev Goswami. Shukdev Goswami was self-realized since the time he came out of his mother's womb. And he would roam around naked. People would make fun of him, but he wouldn't care. Because he knew that I'm not this body. Even when he was passing by a river, some girls were bathing in that river. And they did not cover themselves when they saw Shukdev Goswami, but they rather covered themselves when they saw his father, Lord Vedvyas. So when he asked them, they replied by saying that your son is self-realized. He does not have the distinction of male and female in his mind. But you are not at that level. This is why we have to respect you appropriately in that way. So we see that whether it is Prithu Maharaj or Jad Bharat or Shukdev Goswami, one important thing we realize is that the goal of life is not external victory, fame, or rituals. The real goal is to awaken our true identity, to realize that we are eternal servants of Krishna and to live in that consciousness. This alone frees us from the endless cycle of happiness and distress, pride and envy, success and failure, and it makes us realize that we're qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord. With this, I'd like to conclude my session. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Any questions, comments, feedback, suggestions? Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Sorry, Prabhu, can you repeat the last bit? Yeah. So, all these instances where we see that even a Shaktavesh avatar or somebody who is empowered by the Lord, they act in a way, or they act in a way where they're not so self-realized. In the case of Lord Vedvyas, is actually a part of the Leela to facilitate the divine arrangement. Because Lord Vedvyas, his job or his responsibilities were not simply to compile the Vedas and other Vedic literatures. He also played a role in the Mahabharata. And to assist and to contribute in the Leela, even the self-realized souls, they take on a lesser self-realized version of themselves. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. So there's actually a difference. For us, it is important that we take care of our materially prescribed duties, as well as we take care of our Sanatan Dharma. So we have to establish a balance between Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma. But for Bharat Maharaj was already self-realized. For him, it did not matter what was happening externally, because he had attained that realization. You know, it's like saying that a person who has already studied the entire physics textbook, or who has complete knowledge of physics, he does not need to go and attend lectures, right? Because he already knows everything. So if we really want to get rid of our material duties, then we have to achieve that stage. For example, if I give you the example of Bhaktimati Mirabai. Mirabai was so much immersed in the devotion of Krishna that she did not even properly she did not even properly perform the duties as a wife. She was the wife of a king of Rajasthan, and she got married to him, but she did not perform those duties. And the reason is that she was fully surrendered to Krishna. She could not see anything beyond Krishna. Now, unless somebody achieves that stage, and it happens automatically, it's not that you have to artificially be a certain way, right? Once you attain complete Krishna consciousness, once you attain complete surrender, then whatever happens externally, whatever happens materially, you simply don't pay attention to it. It becomes insignificant, because now your purpose, your goal, you have achieved it. I hope it clarifies. But I'll definitely get back to you. I'll go deeper into this and I'll get back to you. Yeah, Prabhu, thank you so much.